Hello, how you doing? For a while now, I've been thinking, what kind of force would make a man eat his friend that he likes? What on earth would make a man crave human meat, as in human flesh? At this point, if you cannot stand creepy stories, I'll advise you don't listen to this particular story because this is one story that will stick to your memory for a while. For those that can handle it, remember this name.
Issei Sagawa. Why was this man craving human meat? Why was he never sentenced? How on earth did he become a celebrity? Born in Kobe, Japan, to a wealthy family, Issei's favorite childhood story, Hansel and Gretel, is said to be one of the crazy books to deform his thinking. The story is about two siblings in danger of getting eaten by a witch. He also said he had fond memories of his uncle dressing up as a monster and lowering him into a stew pot. He has been in a hot urge to taste human flesh since he was 6 years old. Issei said he sometimes stares at the thighs of his classmates and thinking how delicious it would taste. Since 1981, he had also been making some crazy moves to taste human flesh. Then he was just in his 20s. Sagawa was at Wako University in Tokyo at the age of 24. He attempted to cannibalize a German woman he followed home and later broke into her apartment. He was caught by the woman as she suddenly awoke and was later arrested. Although he was charged with rape, Sagawa never revealed his utmost intention, which was, according to him, to slice off the woman's buttock and sneak away with it. At the time, his rich father paid a huge amount of money to the victim and Issei was released. When he was 32, Sagawa invited his classmate Renee Harteveld, then a beautiful, tall young lady, a Dutch young lady, to his apartment to have dinner with her. He craved for her flesh, killed, raped, and ate her, and took pictures in each stage of the process. Cooked or raw, he devoured her flesh and kept some parts in the fridge for later. At that time, he was 32 years old and a PhD student in comparative literature at the University of Sorbonne. I was obsessed with tasting human flesh. In quote, he said, "Nobody believes me, but my ultimate intention was to eat her and not necessarily to kill her." Sagawa told Vice in a 2009 interview. He said he wanted Harteveld to let him taste a bit of her flesh while she was still alive, though he explicitly confessed to his gruesome crimes when he was caught by French police, claiming, in quote, he said, "I killed her to eat her flesh." Sagawa never served a prison sentence. When he was arrested by French authorities, examining doctors declared him legally insane and unfit to stand trial, thereby leading authorities to deport him to Japan. But when Sagawa was sent to Tokyo's psychiatric Matsuzawa Hospital, upon return, doctors there gave him a different diagnosis. Psychologists found him sane and determined that he murdered the woman solely out of sexual perversion. Because the charges against him in France had already been dropped, he was deported. Japanese authorities couldn't access sealed documents and were unable to charge him without evidence. Since then, no notable efforts had been made by authorities to charge Sagawa for his crimes. In later interviews Sagawa conducted with the media, he explained that he had been fascinated with cannibalism since the first grade when he would stare at a male classmate's thigh. He also partook in bestiality with his dog. According to him, he had tried to eat people before but was too scared to follow through. In Paris, he lured sex workers to his home almost every night but failed to kill anyone until he met his Dutch classmate whom he liked, Renee Harteveld. Pretending Feeling he needed help learning German, Sagawa invited Hartefeld to his apartment. He said he chose her for her physical beauty, a quality he felt he lacked as a man with small hands and measuring under 5 feet tall. He remembered he was born premature and had small stature, so according to him, he admired tall, healthy, and strong people. He felt in him eating them would make him look or be like them. After attempting to murder her once, Sagawa killed her on June 11, finally. That was in 1981, creeping up behind her as she was reading poetry to shoot her in the neck with a rifle he had bought and kept hidden. There are conflicting accounts about how he obtained the gun. According to what he said in an interview, he fainted at the sight of her pulling blood. After waking up, Sagawa raped her corpse. He then ate parts of her flesh, both raw and cooked. 2 days later, when her body started decomposing, he put her in 2 suitcases and dumped the bag close to a lake in a public park just before sunset. 2 joggers who saw blood dripping out from the suitcase alerted the police. By this time, Harteveld's family had reported her missing. Sagawa made a living after checking himself out of hospital on August 12, 1986. At that time, the Japanese legal system couldn't charge him. He enjoyed about a decade of fame in Japan where people were fascinated by his gruesome story. Sagawa wrote books and drew pictures about his actions and cannibalistic desires. He also enjoyed a stint as an on-screen celebrity, starring in several pornographic films, guest in talk shows where he reenacted his crimes, and appeared also on cooking shows eating raw meats, as well as sold nude paintings of women. After the death of his parents, he was never allowed to attend the funeral of his parents. Sagawa lived with his younger brother in Tokyo and had stroke in 2013. He admitted in 2009 that he still fantasized about eating a woman's body, though he claimed he had never acted on what he called simply fetish. In quote, he said, "If a normal man fancies a girl, he naturally feels a desire to see her as often as possible, to be close to her, to smell her and kiss her, right?" He told Vice in an interview as at 2009. At age 73, his health started deteriorating. He was confined to a wheelchair. Nobody wanted to be close to him. He became a lonely man. He had no wife and no child. According to reports, he had had 2 heart attacks. When asked at that age in an interview if he still had the desire to eat anyone, he said yes, but this time a Japanese woman. In his words, he said, "Eat and being eaten are the same thing, so I wouldn't mind being eaten by a tall, beautiful girl." He said, "Yes, I have a desire to eat a woman, but this time a Japanese woman." Sagawa later died at age 73 on November 24, 2000. He died of pneumonia.
Welcome back. Well, I deliberately omitted some part of the story, especially parts where he described the taste of Renee's flesh and some other things he said that I don't want to even imagine it. But highlight of this entire story is Renee. Renee's family didn't get justice. And I can't help but wonder how they felt at the time, knowing that Issei Sagawa was walking on the streets of Japan as a free man. The idea and aim of bringing the story to you is to understand seemingly how an ordinary person can do the unthinkable. I don't know what you think about Issei Sagawa, sane or insane. I'd like your comment in the comment section. But if you ask my opinion, I'd say Issei didn't get the help he needed. He needed help because early parts of his life and childhood, according to his narrative, was trying to get help. At some point, he had to see a psychologist because he wanted to understand himself and what was going on and why he had those cravings. But he never got help. Even after he was deported to Japan, the report that was given to him said he was sane, that he was all right, a normal person, and those were just sexual desires. So to me, making him believe he was sane became the entire problem.